What exactly is the offense of Abel Damina? Why is it that all these pastors are coming out to do things that Christians should normally not do, just to discredit him? Why? What is his offense? How did this all start? For me, it is critical for us to understand this so that we can see the connection between the operators of Nigeria's religious system and the current situation of Nigeria. If we do not understand that connection, we will continue to go in this path that will lead to more hunger, more poverty, more unemployment, more insecurity. We will continue on this path. So it concerns us to understand exactly how did it start that pastors are now fighting pastors? Fathers are now fighting fathers. Prophet Jeremiah came, did a video, attacked Abel Damina and was abusing him, using words that while we were growing up as children, young Christians then, words that they tell you not to say. Then they tell you if somebody abuses you, you must keep your composure, you must be calm, don't abuse back. Somebody slaps you on the right, turn the left cheek. All of those things that we were told not to do, they are what pastors are doing now to Abel Damina, and it's okay. I remember way back then when we would be going to work in Lagos in the traffic, and you know how crazy it is to drive in Lagos. And we had this pastor in our church then who was the driver or the owner of the car. And there's no way you drive in Lagos. I don't know. If there is, you tell me. There's no way you drive in Lagos and you're a pastor and you preach that people should not abuse others or that Christians should not abuse others. You will fall victim of that you're preaching. It is hard and it is rare, except you are not the one driving. But if you are the one driving and you see the behavior of damnful drivers or Okada riders in Lagos, you won't know when you say, God will punish you. You won't know when it will come out from your mouth. You won't. So when this particular pastor will be driving us, giving us free ride to walk on the island, at some point he will just get annoyed and say, look at this stupid man. And then he will remember and say, sorry. All these people, Amuni Deshe. That is, those who make people to sin. There's no way you won't do that. So that's the extent to which all these abusive words were prohibited. They were condemned while we were growing up as young Christians. Not so long ago. But now, abusing others is now the in thing. And it's not that pastors are now doing it. They are now doing it on the pulpit. I have strong reservations for people like Pastor Ibieyeome using abusive words on the pulpit. He might be offended enough to say it off pulpit, but on the pulpit, these are things that pastors like Ibieyeome used to tell us that Christians should not do. But now, they are the in thing. You are calling somebody rat on the pulpit. You are calling somebody thief, mumu, goat on the pulpit. Because of what? What did Abel Damina do that will warrant pastors to be fighting pastors? That will warrant us to throw all our Christian decorum out of the window and begin to do fisticuff of abusive words? What is the offense of Abel Damina that will make a pastor of such timber and caliber of Ibieyeome to say, Holy Spirit, excuse me, let me deal with this one? And you begin to use abusive words. I don't want to know what the root cause is, because as far as I'm concerned, it's just difference of convictions. which everybody is entitled to. Abel Damina once believed in tithe and offering. Now, according to him, he claims he has seen the light. And all of a sudden, that's a problem. Tithe and offering is not such a big deal in some Pentecostal churches. I attended a church growing up where they didn't emphasize it so much. They didn't. And then he preaches, and in his preaching, he says, oh, I helped so person to get direction. Pastors do it all the time. And all of a sudden, all hell is let loose. Pastors begin to do unthinkable things. Let us watch it. Because as far as I'm concerned, there's something that pastors are doing. There's something that is happening to Christianity that pastors are not taking note of. They used to say that the wealth of the Gentiles, God will give it to the believers. But right now, the wealth of the believers is going to the Gentiles because of all these things that pastors are doing. And as it is happening like that, Nigerians are getting poorer. Nigerians are getting poorer. Please, let's beware. Nigerians are getting poorer. If you look at any church today, any mega church, you'll see that all the equipment, 50% of their expenses, right, to set up the church, even much more than 50%, goes outside Nigeria. You want to buy microphone, you want to buy keyboard, you want to buy speaker, you want to buy amp, you want to buy light, you want to buy LED screen, even your internet modem, you want to buy car, you want to buy buses, all of those things. You want to buy fuel, all of those things. The money that the church spends on it goes out to other countries. And when these monies go out to other countries, do you know what happens? The church contributes to create unemployment here. Because for every speaker you buy, for every keyboard you buy, every saxophone you buy, every microphone you buy, every LED screen you buy, every of these things, every SUV you buy, for those that are bragging, every Rolls Royce you buy, you're actually shipping jobs outside Nigeria. You are creating unemployment for your church members that are praying to God for a job. When they say the church built America, the church built Europe, how did the church do it? The church engaged in the creation of these things, in the manufacture of these things. Church members engaged in refineries. They engaged in real estate. They engaged in steel manufacturing. They engaged in production. They engaged in technology. They were manufacturing their things. So when the church in America needs microphone, they are actually creating jobs because they own the companies that make microphone in America. Is it the same in Nigeria? The church in Nigeria needs to have a rethink. The church in Nigeria needs to begin to pool resources to set up cement factories. Because right now, for every mega church you build, you take away the wealth of Christians and you give it to Gentiles. You give it to Dangote, you give it to Rabiu. Either you're buying Dangote cement or you're buying Bois. For every mega church, you need iron, you need steel. Those things are imported. That's jobs that you're shipping out of Nigeria. The church in Nigeria, the church in Africa needs to wake up. There is nothing that stops the church in Nigeria from joining resources, pulling resources together to set up a refinery, to set up cement factories. Nothing. To set up car manufacturing plants, to set up steel manufacturing plants. Nothing. This is the only way the church in Nigeria can help to create jobs. It is not the exclusive responsibility of the government to create jobs. In fact, it's not government. Government contributes less than 10% of job creation in America, in Europe, in China, in Russia. So it's not, we cannot just leave it to government. We have to contribute. The church can contribute its own, as the mosque also. And the only way to do that is to focus to re-strategize. There has to be a paradigm shift from the status quo. There has to be. We can't keep spending money buying Rolls Royce, shipping our jobs abroad, buying all the heavy equipment that you need to set up a mega church, shipping our jobs abroad. We can't continue to do it. And then at the end of the day, when we see people who have divergent opinions from ours, we begin to engage in activities that are unbecoming of Christians, things that should not even be mentioned amongst us. No. The church needs to change strategy. As it is now, the church is contributing to the poverty, to the unemployment, and indeed to the insecurity of Nigeria. It's not only politicians. And our church leaders must take note. It is your responsibility as a Christian and I to call the attention of these religious leaders to these things. It's not to abuse them. No, respectfully, your attention must shift. We must begin to task church members, task pastors to pull resources together, to begin to make things in Nigeria here. We must begin to discourage gluttony in the name of success. We must begin to discourage greed, feeding greed in the name of success. Somebody says, because Enenche is successful, Enenche is bigger than Abel Damina. Those are stuff that unbelievers should be saying. Because for Ibieyeome to say that, it means that Ibieyeome forgets that the Bible says that, and they, measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves with themselves, are not wise. That's the Bible. And Ibieyeome knows it. So why would he come now to say that, Enenche is bigger than Damina? And in any case, will you say that Oyedepo is bigger than his father? Because Oyedepo is richer than his father. And it is the prayer of every father that their children will be bigger than they are. But you know what they say? It doesn't matter how big the okra or tall the okra is, it can never be bigger than the father. So when Jesus Christ comes and says, greater works than these shall they that come after me do. Yes, greater works than that of Jesus. Does it mean that because we do greater works than Jesus, which I don't even see anyway, then we are bigger than Jesus? No. He laid the path. He has his responsibilities. We should shift our focus from these mundane things, from feeding greed, from feeding divisions, from feeding gluttony, and shift it to production. Because right now, all the church does is feed consumption. The church is a consuming church. We just consume. What is the latest iPhone? Consume, buy. What is the latest car? Consume, buy. What is the latest LED? Consume. Latest microphone? Consume. Latest keyboard? Consume. And when we consume those things, since they are not made here, we are creating unemployment. So the church can do something. The church can have its own refinery. The church can have its own steel manufacturing plant. The church can have its own car manufacturing plant. The church can have its own electronics manufacturing company. Nothing stops the church from doing it, from pulling resources together. Redeemed Church, Living Faith Church, Salvation Ministry, Christ Embassy, all those people, with all the monies they have, come together, pull resources together, and then says, let us set up a refinery. Let us set up a car manufacturing plant. Let us set up an electronics, all the things that we use in our church. Let us get people to manufacture them here in Nigeria, because that's the only way the church will actually now be contributing to create jobs. As it is now, it is odd that people come to church to pray for God to give them jobs, and the same church is responsible for taking those jobs away from them and shipping them abroad. It is odd that people come to church to pray to God to deliver them out of poverty, deliver them out of suffering. And the same church where they come to pray to God is used to take the jobs or the opportunities that could have taken them out of poverty. It takes those opportunities and ships them abroad. 90% of churchgoers in Nigeria today are broke and poor. 90%. With all our prosperity gospel, shouldn't we stop and think? But rather than look at the problem and behave like Bezalel and Aholiab in the days of Moses and look for people that will create these things and pull resources together. If government does not give grants to companies to set up these, to individuals, to talent, to engineers, to set up these things, can the church not do it? The church can do it. These are the things that we should be looking at, not fighting ourselves over doctrinal disagreements. No. And besides, God is very well able to fight and defend himself. He does not need you and I to fight for him. The Christianity survived till now, not because you and I took up swords. Jesus Christ told Peter, sheath your sword. Sheath it. And so I'll tell you, pastors, please sheath your swords. What you should be looking at is, let's look at how we can pull resources together. Set up refineries. Set up steel companies, set up car manufacturing companies. We should be able to get the church to set up companies that would build our car engine blocks here. We want to go into agriculture. We should be able to have companies sponsored by the church that will do. If government will not do it, can't the church do it? Is the church not supposed to be a solution center? If you look at it, 90% of the reasons why people go to church is because they want solutions to their problems. And food should not be one of those problems. In fact, Jesus Christ even said it. Take no thoughts what you should eat, what you would drink. For your Father in heaven knows that you have need of these things. He will provide them. Anybody who is in church is praying to God for God to give him what to eat. That pastor of that church should be ashamed. Because those are not the things that your people, your members should be praying for. According to the Bible. That's not what they should be praying for. What they should be praying for is how to make Nigeria better. And the church can contribute in this direction. That's what we should be looking at. Let's stop all this infighting. Biko.